Surah Ankabut, verse 17, right? Yeah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that those that you worship besides Allah, those whom you call upon besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not have the power to give you any sustenance. They don't have the power to give you any rizq. Okay, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, those that you invoke or call or worship besides Allah, no matter whether they are idols, whether they are rocks or trees, whether they are persons living or dead. Doesn't matter, whatever you worship besides Allah, they don't have the power to give you your rizq, your sustenance. So your money and your job and your salary and the food that you eat and the water that you drink, they don't have the power to give you this rizq. So Allah then says, if this is the case, فَبَتَغُوا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الرِّزْقِ, then ask your rizq, ask your sustenance, ask your money and your job and everything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعْبُدُوهُ, and worship Him. وَاشْكُرُوا لَهُ, and thank only Him. إِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ, to Him you will return. So in this verse, once again, Allah points out that those that you call upon besides Allah, those that you worship besides Allah, they do not have the power to give you your rizq, your basic sustenance. They can't even give you food and water. So why do you worship them? So then Allah says, then what should you do? فَابْتَغُوا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الرِّزْقِ. Ask your rizq, ask your sustenance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not from any other object. وَعْبُدُوهُ, and worship Him. وَاشْكُرُوا لَهُ, and thank Him. وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. Naam.
And he says, and who is more astray than the one who calls besides Allah, such as will not answer him till the day of resurrection, and who are unaware of their calls to them, and when mankind are gathered, they will become enemies for them and will deny their worshipping.
Continue.
Allah the Most Exalted said, is not He who responds to the distressed one when he calls him, and who removes the evil and makes you inheritors of the earth, generations after generations? Is there any God with Allah? Little is it that you remember.
Okay, in the first verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّا يَدْعُ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, who can be more astray than he who calls other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who makes a dua to other than Allah. Now in this question, what type of question is this called in English? Rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is more eloquent than negation. Pure negation. A rhetorical question is more eloquent. Why is this? When you say negation, when you say there is no one that is more there is no one that is more astray than he who calls besides other than Allah. Than he who calls other than Allah. Okay? This is a fact or a statement, and it doesn't make you think. But when you were to say, if you were to say, who is there that is more misguided? Who is there that is more misguided than he who makes a dua to other than Allah? Then this makes you ponder and think that yes, there is no one. And it makes it even more humiliated, this act. Whereas a statement does not necessarily make it that humiliated. But when you ask a rhetorical question, right? Yani, who is more stupid than you are? It is more of a humiliation than if you were to say there is no one as stupid as you. Because it makes you ponder and think, and there is no one that is more astray than he who makes a dua to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the rhetorical question, if you like, it is more eloquent than a simple negation. So Allah is saying, and it is more firm at the same time, and it is more humiliating at the same time. So Allah is saying that who is there that is more astray, who can be more misguided than the one who makes a dua to other than Allah. And then Allah describes them. مَنْ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ, that those that they call besides Allah, they can never respond to them. They can never answer their dua until the Day of Judgment. In other words, never. Because when the Day of Judgment occurs, then that is when, basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that they can never respond to their call. That who is there that is more astray that makes a dua to an object, or to a deity, or to a saint, that can never even respond to him. So look at the stupidity, that you are making a dua, or this person is making a dua to something that will not even be able to respond to him until the Day of Judgment. And then Allah says, وَهُمْ عَنْ دُعَائِهِ غَافِلُونَ, and those objects that they call, how did this guy translate it actually? Two ways to translate it.
And who are even unaware of their calls.
Okay, basically, so the way that this is translated is that these idols or these saints that they are making dua to, they are not even able to comprehend or listen to this dua. So when you call out to Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, Abdul Qadir al-Jilani can't even hear you. He's dead now. Okay? Even though, inshallah, he was a pious person in and of himself. The scholars say that he was a pious person. His followers came after him and they exalted him to the level of whatever they have done. And they have called him Al-Ghawth al-A'zam, or the one that saves you or gives you all aid. And to this day, so many people, And believe it or not, even in Houston there is a shrine dedicated to Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. In Houston. And there is a masjid where these type of people in this group, and they are, by the way, they consider themselves Muslim. They don't consider themselves Christians or Jews. They call themselves Muslims, you know. They get together and they have these type of worships where they call out to other than Allah. And they consider it a part of the religion of Islam. So Allah is saying, who is there that does more wrong, or who is there that can be more astray than the one who calls to an object? Firstly, that object will never be able to respond to him. Secondly, it doesn't even hear him. It can't even understand or comprehend that dua. So when you call out to that saint or that idol or that rock, not only does it not hear you, it cannot even respond to you. And then Allah says that when, on the day of judgment, they are going to be resurrected, then those objects that they used to call besides Allah, so for example, Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, or these objects, they will be enemies to those that used to worship them. So for example, Jesus, the son of Mary, is he going to be with the Christians, or is he going to be with the Muslims on the day of judgment? With the Muslims. He is going to be an enemy to the Christians, even though they used to worship him. So Allah is describing those pious people that they elevated to this status. Allah is saying on the day of judgment, these pious people, they will be enemies to the ones that used to worship them. وَكَانُوا بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ كَافِرِينَ. And they used to reject their ibadah. Isa, the son of Mary, is going to reject the worship that the Christians used to do to them. He is going to be free. He is going to be enemies to those Christians that used to exalt and glorify him throughout their life. So can you see someone who is more stupid or more foolish than, for example, the Christian? Throughout his life, he is worshipping Jesus Christ, the son of Mary. Okay? This person, Jesus, the son of Mary, not only can he not hear these du'as, not only can, even if he were to hear them, he cannot respond to them. On top of that, on the day of judgment, he is going to be an enemy to one who spent his whole life worshipping him. He's going to reject this person. And he's going to disassociate himself with that shirk and with that worship. And he will say, oh Allah, I had nothing to do with this shirk. So who can be more astray than this? Do you understand, or do you understand the stupidity of this person's act? Not only is he calling upon, again, over and over again, so that you understand, and make sure you understand this, because this is very important, and this is one of the manifestations of shirk which is rampant amongst the Muslims of today, that they make dua and they ask for help from other than Allah. Not only is the person that they call, not only can he not hear them, not only can he not respond even if he were to hear, but on top of that, on the day of judgment, he is going to be their worst enemy too, if he was of the pious person. Okay? Obviously, a rock or an idol or a stone, obviously it doesn't fall under this verse, but the pious person, for example, Jesus, the son of Mary, for sure. And inshallah, people like Abdul Qadir al-Jilani and others, that inshallah, we hope that they were pious Muslims, and that they were free of this type of shirk. These type of people, they will be enemies to the ones that used to worship them in this life. So the person has wasted his whole life. He has wasted his whole life calling upon other than Allah. He has done such a foolish act that if you were to look at it, you cannot help but laugh. That he has wasted his whole life calling upon an object that doesn't even hear him, can't even respond to him, and then on the day of judgment will be his enemy. Can someone be more foolish or more misguided than this? So do we understand the rhetorical question now? That who can be more misguided than he who calls other than Allah? Do we understand the rhetorical question now? That who can be more misguided? There can be no one that is more misguided than this person. In the last verse of this chapter, it is the last verse, right? No, it's not. The last verse, yeah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He describes Himself, that أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ. That who is the one other than Allah? Basically the meaning of this verse. Who is the one other than Allah who responds to the one who is in a difficult situation, the one who is in distress? So you are, for example, in a very difficult situation, that a person might be trying to kill you or rob you, or that you're in the middle of the ocean and violent storms overtake you, or whatever situation you might be in. Allah is saying, who is there that will respond to your call? Who is there that will respond to your distressed situation when He is called? And who is there that will remove this evil from you? So Allah is asking another rhetorical question, if you like, that He is the one, basically. This verse can be translated as saying that Allah is the only one who will respond to the call of the one who is in distress. And He is the only one that will remove this evil from you, and He has made you khulafa'a upon this earth. In other words, He has made you generation after generation upon this earth. Is there a God besides Allah? أَإِلَهُمْ مَعَ اللَّهِ. Again, what type of example is this? A rhetorical question. Is there a God besides Allah? In other words, Allah is asking, the one that you call upon besides Allah, is He going to respond to you? No. Only Allah is going to respond to your call. Only Allah is going to respond to the call of the person in distress. So is there a God besides Allah? The answer to this is no, because if there were a God besides Allah, then you could call upon that God and He would save you from this. But since you cannot call upon any other deity, since you cannot call upon any other object, and that will save you from your distress except for Allah, this shows that there is no God except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now.